From bona fide carnivore to an ethical vegan whose whole business is about helping others to brand themselves in a way that they get their message out to market. Will Saunders is our guest today in the Vegan Visibility Podcast Show. Will Saunders is the creative director and founder at Goodwill Studios, an accredited social enterprise design and brand studio in the UK. Will is a brand and design specialist who creates brands for ambitious, ethical teams and scaling sustainable businesses who are making a positive impact in the world. Today, you're going to get a glimpse of what Will will be talking about during the Vegan Visibility Summit. So stick around. You're in for a great treat.
Welcome to the Vegan Visibility Podcast Show, where your host, Kathleen Gage, shines the spotlight on vegan and plant-based businesses and entrepreneurs from all walks of life committed to cruelty-free eating, healthy lifestyles, animal compassion, and the environment. Enjoy the show.
Well, welcome everybody. We are on another episode of the Dual Podcast Show, the Vegan Visibility Podcast and Health, Wisdom, and Wealth Podcast Show with VLynn Hawkins. I am Kathleen Gage, the host of Vegan Visibility Podcast. And today we're interviewing and having a great conversation with Will Saunders, who is a branding expert, and he is a part of the Vegan Visibility Summit. So I'm going to turn it over to VLynn to introduce herself and then bring Will on.
Well, welcome everyone. We are so excited to have you here today. And to have Will Saunders join us from Goodwill Studios. I have a lot of things that come to mind as far as Goodwill Studios, but Will, introduce yourself and tell us, a little bit about your vegan story and how you got to Goodwill Studios.
Sure thing. Thanks both for having me. Yeah, so my story actually begins as a child. So I've always been into drawing and sketching and doodling. You'd always find me in a corner somewhere, sat quietly, stacks of paper, sketching. And I come to realize now after, years of being in the design industry, that the reason why I wanted to create visually is because I had a really bad stutter as a kid. And I found it hard to communicate, verbally. And I think that's led me down the path to loving design and wanting to communicate, visually. And that's really what set me on my path. And in terms of how I got to where I am today, using the design, as a force for good, is really linked to my vegan story, my awakening around animal rights and the environment. So after many years in the creative industry, I decided to start my own business. And, as you do, you go out there, you want to make your mark on the world. It was very much about me wanting to create something for myself, and as I started learning more about bigger picture things, the environment, animal rights, and business as usual, and how business and branding kind of convinces people to do things that they otherwise wouldn't do, and buy things that you wouldn't otherwise buy if you didn't live in this environment of messages and advertising and branding. So I came to realize that I was part of the problem. My industry, creative industry, branding and marketing, that was really the reason why a lot of animal products are bought, and that obviously there's a supply and demand there. So I realized that my industry and me indirectly was contributing to not only a lot of damaging practices in the world, but potentially, causing a lot of pain and suffering to the lives of animals. Yeah,
well, I'm curious, Will,
how I understood that.
Yeah, and I'm curious, when did you become vegan?
Yeah, so I was actually one of the biggest meat eaters you could ever meet. I was one of those very annoying people who used to maybe look down on vegetarians and joke about it, until I met a girl who's now my long-term partner. She was kind of veggie at the time, and this was during my kind of awakening in my business, learning about branding and marketing and how it convinces us to buy things. And I was having a lot of conversations with her, like asking her, okay, so why don't you eat meat? But then I was questioned, like, why do I eat meat?
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, okay, yeah, it's because I see 100 McDonald's adverts every day. It's because it's been so normalized and culturalized, and these messages just kind of feed in. And as soon as I was asked the question, why do I do that? It really took me out of myself, and I realized, okay, yeah, there's a huge machine here, like a branding machine and a marketing machine that makes it normalized, and especially when it's marketed at men, it's seen as
Mm-hmm.
quite a manly thing, isn't it? And it's
Mm-hmm.
not a natural thing, really. It's just this branded version of a man, like with a meaty diet. And yeah,
Absolutely.
that's what really got me thinking.
And what year was that?
Probably 2015.
Oh, okay. Okay. So
2015.
you're the long-term vegan here. I went 2018 and VLynn at the beginning of VLynn was it 2022, the beginning of
2022.
Okay. And it takes what it takes, but you really hit on some important points, Will, and so much to unwrap here, but the whole thing about the marketing and advertising, because in the US, and I know you're in the UK, in the US, we actually have advertisers for prescription drugs. So the way they do it, the way they set the tone is they have a commercial with a fast food restaurant and, you know, the cheeseburger with the drippy sauce and the meat oozing blood and all that gory stuff. And then right after that, they have a commercial for antacids or heart medication or diabetes. And it's like they spend billions of dollars in the US to get people to, one, eat fast foods and then get the prescription drugs. So I'm actually going to turn it over to VLynn because I know she has a lot of questions about your branding and then what you're going to do in the summit.
I do. And I'm so enthralled by your story. It really gets me when I hear the stories of others that are different than mine, but very similar as to the awakening and the coming into who we're really meant to be, because we have these things that we become so aware of. And the social impact piece is something that really sticks with me because having been in the grants world for decades, and now the crowdfunding for business world for over a decade, I have always been in this social impact space. How can we make a bigger difference in the lives of people? Tell us a little bit about how you approach that social impact branding that you do.
Yeah, because that's the thing, isn't there? Every business makes an impact, whether it's good or bad, whether it's on the individual buying the product or the staff involved in that business. And it's really tapping into that business as a force for good. And what I think in terms of social impact branding is that those who are doing something good, maybe going against the status quo, going against the grain, or even, as far as trying to overthrow an existing polluting or damaging system, such as a vegan business trying to, eat into the animal agriculture market, for example. They need every tool they have. They have on offer, right? It seems that the world is against them. So tapping into the brand, and I talk about this in my session in a lot of detail, tapping into your brand, your brand story, and building a social impact brand around that, that can be one powerful tool in helping to move the conversation forward, helping to, increase your income and your impact, because these are two key levers, I think, that we need to pull in order to help these businesses see that better world that they've been, that they're really striving for.
And I love what you just said about the impact and profit, that that it's not just about having an impact, because if we don't have profits, we can't keep doing what we're doing. And there's a lot of people within the vegan movement that think that they should give all their services away, or we should all do that. And that's not how it works. This is the real world, and money is a driver in what we do. And I want to remind people to go to the Vegan Visibility Summit page to register. It's absolutely free during the launch. And you just go to veganvisibility.com/summit 2022 will. That's veganvisibility.com/summit 2022 will, WILL, for Will. And Will, why don't you give us a little teaser of what people can expect from your particular session? What are they going to learn that really is going to make a difference in their sustainable business, in their business that is aligned with their values around being a vegan?
Fantastic question, and I'm happy to answer. So I'm basically just distilling 15 years of my brand building knowledge into this workshop. And really, it asks, what do some of the most successful brands have in common? And the answer really is they don't let things happen by chance. They build their brands on purpose. They all follow a formula of some kind. So I think if you're building, a vegan business, you need to build that powerful brand that can help you to, stand out and cut through the noise and really be the change that you want to see. So I'm going to introduce people to the 4-step branding building process that I follow, called the Social Impact Brand. And the goal is to get, spark ideas, get clarity to your thinking, a framework to your thinking. And the way we're going to do that is exploring some examples of successful brands and really learn what makes them tick and apply that to, your brand at home watching this, your business. So there'll be a framework that you can start using immediately after you watch the session. And spark ideas, gain confidence in the message, and really have a powerful tool and a framework for thinking to make that big impact.
Wonderful. And VLynn, before we close, do you have any final questions for Will?
I do. One of the things that has come clear to me is that personality plays a lot into the level of impact and the force for good. And tell us a little bit about just one key thing that, a lot of business owners who want to be in this space, who are in this space, are introverts. The extroverts are ready. They're like, give it to me, let me go. We used to watch this movie of the Croods, and it was like, unleash the baby. It's like, that's how extroverts go at this. What would you tell the introvert who is ready to step out and be at the front of their business, but they've got all this stuff going on in their head, and they're not really sure that they can do this? How would you coach them to get out of it?
Yeah, fantastic question. And I swing between massively introverted and quite extroverted, so I kind of feel that. One piece of advice that I would give, and this is advice that I've used in a lot of projects, is to tap into your founder story. Do not hide away. We've all got a great story to tell, even if you think this isn't interesting, or everybody goes through these kind of things. I think it's really important to really understand and articulate why you do what you do, how you came to where you are. And that founder story is one really important piece of the bigger brand story. So there is so much value often locked away, that's just waiting to be unlocked and harnessed, and then really amplified to create that human connection. Because even though I build brands, and brands are sometimes bigger than the individual, it's important to really tap into that human element and weave that into the marketing and the messaging and the brand as a whole. So there's value in your story.
What a great insight. Yeah, definitely. Because as you were talking, I was thinking about some things in my past that I've kind of downplayed around, how much of a carnivore I used to be. And I was very into riding motorcycles and wearing leathers and all that. And I think about the number of animals that sacrifice their life for my gluttonous pleasures, if you will. And so I think, from hearing you, what people will get is the ability to have the courage to tell their story, have the courage to really bring who they are into the experience so that people can see that we weren't born vegan. We went through whatever life experiences and we came to the realization that we didn't have to do this anymore. And it really is about compassion to the animals, the environment, and to our health. So in closing, Will, is there anything else you would like to leave people with? But before you do, I want to remind people, please visit veganvisibility.com/summit 2022 Will. And you can join absolutely free during the launch, and you'll have access to over a dozen experts like Will who will share insights on how you can build your vegan business, whether you're a nutritionist, a speaker, an author, a nonprofit, a manufacturing company. You're going to get the best of the best to help you grow your business. So, Will, what are your final thoughts?
I suppose I'd say if you want to make a positive social impact, you're going to have to build your social impact brand.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining in, and we look forward to seeing you at the summit. Have a great day.
You've been listening to the Vegan Visibility Podcast Show. Be sure to subscribe to get notified when the next episode is live. And we always appreciate reviews. Join us next time for more inspiration, education, and motivation to build your business one cruelty-free and healthy person at a time.